Alright, so Marvel's Avengers is getting some really exciting changes with the Black Panther DLC that's dropping later this month, of course including a complete UI redesign for the first time ever, adding a ton of brand new functionalities, new requested features, and of course a brand new and much more improved look that honestly I am a big fan of. We will dissect every piece of it in this video, and of course also a first look at the selectable and the free character Black Panther that's going to be a part of the new DLC. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would be awesome, and let's jump right into it. By the way, today's video has been brought to you thanks to Instant Gaming. If you want to buy games at some really cheap prices, yeah, definitely go ahead and check out the links down below and you can get some really awesome discounts for your favorite games. But with that out of the way, let's get started with the complete UI redesign. I'm a big fan of this, by the way, especially since the information is now presented in a way more cohesive kind of way, especially since the character related tabs have all been pulled into one single screen that you can quickly access, glance at, and have all of the relevant information, as well as all of the sub-menus and other new features that we will check in just a little bit. One of them is the fact that Crystal Dynamics will be able to add new features as they now have much better screen real estate in case players want it or in case they develop something new. You especially saw maybe that left side ribbon right here that has a lot of space beneath it. Well, there is where most likely Crystal Dynamics will add some of its new functionalities in the future. But you probably also saw the fact that now we finally get the loadouts for the characters. So yes, it seems that War for Wakanda at the very least will launch with the possibility of having one loadout at the time being for each character extra, but later on they will likely add the possibility of having multiple other loadouts in case you want to play with your current favorite character in different playstyles, or if you want to better adapt to your next mission, and so on and so forth. Another really cool addition that I think could be further expanded upon is the fact that each character now has unique menu themes. So if you go from Thor to Hulk to Black Panther or towards Iron Man, you will see that all of them have different unique color schemes and also like UI elements that I think could be further expanded with some really nice themes over there that could also be animated, kind of like nameplates but for the menu themes. That would be really awesome if they ever thought of that. But with that out of the way, let's get started with the sections. There's about 5 sections in the new screen that pulls, as I've said, all of that relevant information into one single place, starting of course with the top section right here that shows your currently selected character, its equipped cosmetics, as well as a quick glance over its stats. Well, major stats at the very least. So here you can control various things, including changing stuff like your outfits, your emotes, your takedowns, as well as your nameplate, which is going to be a much quicker access than how it was previously with multiple tabs having the same features. Now beneath this is where we get the gear tab, which is even more important and has suffered a lot more improvements than any other features so far. So the gear tab will feature all of the slots that you currently have equipped, including all of the gear items as well as the artifacts. These will be displayed in a more relevant info at a glance, and there's some major improvements that have been done through it that have been explained in a recent live stream, but I've broken down the information for you guys so that you can quickly glance over it. Now the first one of course are going to be the items themselves. You can see them right here with the icons, but if you highlight them you will get the full detailed item card that will show you all of the information relating to that item that you're hovering over. And on top of that, you will also see at a quick glance stuff like the power level of the items equipped, the number of items and their respective rarities that you currently have in your inventory. This is displayed beneath the main item UI, and then finally a green pulsing arrow that will indicate which of these pieces of gear can be further upgraded. In this case, it would be all of them. Now another really important change to navigating these menus is the fact that because of the new grid style UI, you will now be able to use the D-pad keys to move between these menus instead of relying on your cursor, for example. So this will give you an even finer control over which menu you want to go over or hover over, or even more so what item you want to see or further highlight. There's many other important improvements to navigation and other cool stuff, so I will go over these piece by piece. The first one, and by far my favorite, is the fact fact that, yeah, there is now the possibility to lock on items, the ones that you want to not dismantle. So let's say, for example, you find some cool piece of gear that you want to keep for later or for a different build. You can now lock it by pressing the X button on the controller, and it will no longer be a part of the dismantle process, so you can freely dismantle other items in case you want to do that in fast succession. The second thing that I really enjoyed is the fact that they also did a slight increase to inventory size. So previously it was 9 and we now got a bump to 11. It's not too shabby, but it should help over the 5 or so sections that we have right now. Moving on, let's also go over some of the navigation and control buttons. So using the controller bumpers, including R1 and L1, lets you quickly tap between different item categories, so you can switch between melee, ranged, defensive and heroic slots from within the gear management menu, instead of actually having to get out of these, going to the next, and so on and so forth. Another really big change is how they made improvements to the overall dismantling, mark for dismantling, and also placing items into your locker. So starting with L2, if you tap this for the first time ever, you will have the possibility to mark multiple items for dismantle straight from the inventory menu, which was previously only possible from the storage/locker menu. So I'm glad that they finally added this functionality to the main inventory screen as well. You can also hold L2, for example, if you want to do consecutive item dismantles, and this process is going to be automatically jumping between these items for a much faster inventory clear out in this case, in case you're too lazy to mark multiple items or you just want to dismantle everything without paying attention to what you're doing. Meanwhile, the right trigger, so R2, if you tap this, you're going to be able to mark items for transfer, and otherwise if you hold that, you're going to be able to immediately transfer one item at a time straight into your locker menu. This is another big quality of life change, as previously you could only access the locker either at the end of a mission or by going to one of these terminals on the helicarrier, which was pretty annoying. So I'm glad that they finally did this straight for the same inventory screen. This isn't the only major change to the locker system. Another one is the pretty significant bump in item size limit, which is now 600 in the new update. So that's up from about 300, I believe, in the current version of the game. I don't have access right now to the game, but yeah, it's a pretty significant buff, and it should be an even bigger quality of life change, since now you can access it anywhere from the same item screen. So if you're running out of space during a mission, you can quickly just throw everything into your inventory locker and then get the rest of your items in your current inventory, and maybe do some switch ups with your build during the same mission, which honestly sounds again really awesome. But let's go back at the item screen and let's also go over the new feature, which is pin to compare. So if you press the left thumbstick, which is L3 on the controller, you can pin an item to further compare it with any other item that you will later highlight, in case you want to change your build up or see how different items affect your character in different ways. At the same time, if you press the right thumbstick, which is R3 on the controller, this will open up the stats window for an even quicker and easier glance at your current stats and how the current items affect them as well. So all in all, this should make this a lot more easier than how it is in the current version of the game. But yeah, let's get back at the main screen right here, and the next one is going to be the challenge cards. So pretty simple right here. You have the challenge card that displays what progress you have made in your current challenge track, as well as what are the next rewards in the chain, in case you still have any of those still uncovered for the current character. It's also not as obscured as it was before, since yeah, previously the challenge card for some reason was at the end of the UI, so this makes it much easier for you to know exactly what rewards you will get next. Beneath the challenge cards, we have the takedowns. Now the only major change here that we had is the expansion of the number of possible active takedown animations, which is now 8 instead of 6 how it was previously, but you can obviously hold a lower number than that if you want to, or for example, if you want to only have one takedown animation, you can also place only one into the same screen. The final one is going to be the comics. Now you might be wondering, why are the comics into their own separate section? Well, it's because yes, comics are actually quite important for your character's progress, because it also gives you access to special perks and additional stats. But Crystal Dynamics has also also talked about the possibility of adding cool new stuff relating to comics in the future, so this will likely become even more important once the Wakanda DLC comes out. Now there's many other changes that have been shown in yesterday's live stream, but the final one that I will focus on is how easy it is now to gather faction missions and faction daily objectives. So by accessing any faction terminal in any location, you will get access to all of the faction objectives from one single place, and you can quickly tab between these from the same terminal without having to go to different terminals and picking missions over there separately. At the same time, there's also an accept all assignments button now added, which means you can quickly get everything over there and immediately jump into completing them and getting some of that really needed polycoron for your upgrades and so on and so forth. Anyway, it looks really awesome. Like, the Wakanda DLC definitely seems to be pretty much the next step for Marvel's Avengers. Honestly, cannot wait to play it and show it here on this channel. So if you want to see more Marvel's Avengers content, definitely make sure you subscribe and activate that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video.